Jack Dorsey is the most evil hipster bearded shit stain walking God's green earth at the moment. But just because he is an evil dickbag, that doesn't necessarily mean that he is adept at being one, because apparently the recent wave of censorship that's been coming out of Twitter has actually been leaving some of the employees there with a crisis of consciousness, as James O'Keefe of Project Veritas recently said in an interview on Hannity. Because what happened was that Jack Dorsey was filmed by a whistleblower within his own organization, and that video was then given to Project Veritas, and which is run by James O'Keefe, who, for my money, is the best damn journalist working in America. And this video shows him saying basically what we've all suspected, which is that after Donald Trump's Twitter account was taken care of, which it was priority number one for Twitter to get rid of, amid the whole chaos of the January 6th incident on Capitol Hill. But it's gone now, and it was deleted for spurious reasons, because Donald Trump did not incite violence. He didn't incite a riot in any of his posts. He called for the exact opposite. He called for peace. So that was complete bullshit. But now that Trump is gone, Jack Dorsey said that after that they were going to go after other accounts, which that's predictable. And in the video, he said that they were going to go after accounts like QAnon conspiracy theorists, which I don't know a lot about QAnon, guys, so I'm not going to talk too much about it. But I hear it's a conspiracy theory, and it sounds it sounds kind of outlandish, but that's about all I know about it. But conspiracy theories have been allowed to be disseminated via Twitter before. I mean, Russian collusion, anybody? That didn't happen. Donald Trump and his campaign did not collude with the Russian government to win the 2016 election. But that was allowed to just spread like wildfire over Twitter and all of social media for years, and it still is. So if one is allowed, they all should be allowed. And Jack Dorsey also said that they were going to crack down on accounts that were leading to real world violence. So ostensibly, that would be accounts that are actually calling for acts of violence, incitement, things like that. But that's complete bullshit, because I have a very long memory, and 75 million other Americans do too. The other half of the country that is drinking the CNN Kool-Aid and going with the mainstream media narrative, I can't attest for them. But I certainly remember when Twitter, back in October, so not too long ago, they completely squelched a New York Post story from being disseminated over the platform. And this New York Post story, I talk about this a lot, but I talk about it a lot because this is such an egregious example of social media censorship. The October 14th New York Post story on Hunter Biden's laptops that had hard drives that had damning information regarding Joe Biden's corruption. The first one had information on that Joe Biden knew about his son's dealings in Ukraine, which Joe Biden previously said he had no idea about it. But then the second New York Post story written from those emails were about Joe Biden basically using his son Hunter as a bagman in getting equity in this business venture that involved CEFC China Energy, which is a big CCP-linked energy company. So Twitter decided that this thorough, ironclad piece of journalism written from primary sources that you could see in the body of the story, that couldn't be disseminated. That was verboten, but they'll allow posts about Donald Trump colluding with Russia. So no, Twitter is not going to be they're not going to be and what's the right word? They're not going to be an arbiter of the conversation, which Jack Dorsey pays lip service during this video, that they need to control and be kind of the stewards of the conversation that goes on in this divided America. I don't believe that one bit, and no one else should either, because Twitter has a history of being censorious. And what's so funny is the other day, Twitter just completely did a self-own. They just completely humiliated themselves because on the Twitter public policy account, the social media site said this: ahead of the Ugandan election, we're hearing reports that internet service providers are being ordered to block social media and messaging apps. We strongly condemn internet shutdowns. They are hugely harmful, violate basic human rights and the principles of the hashtag open internet. Is that not the most hilarious thing you have ever read? I mean, it's infuriating, but it's also highly amusing and funny because it just shows how unself-aware these assholes are. So, during this next wave of censorship that is inevitably coming down the pike, I hope we get more of these doozies from Twitter's accounts because, like I said, they're infuriating, but they're highly amusing too because it's just kind of amazing to see how far they can shove their heads up their asses. So I know that there are a lot of people out there who like that Donald Trump got kicked off of Twitter because they have irrational hatred for Donald Trump. They think he's boorish. They think he's rude. Whatever. They just don't like him. So they're glad he's gone, and they want social media to keep going. What I would say to that is, if you give a damn about the principle of free speech, you should be against this because censorship does not end. As I've said, Twitter has a history of being wrongly censorious, and they're not going to stop. They're certainly going to begin with people who are their ideological enemies, and you may like that, but the nature of censorship and wielding this kind of massive power is that these people are going to get drunk on it and they're going to keep doing it. And once all the people who are right of Chairman Mao are gone from the platform, they're going to use it against people who are left of center. So be against it now and be able to hold your head high in the future that you were always against this sort of censorship. Because if you're for it now and you end up getting the brunt of it down the road, you're not going to be able to do that. You're going to have to hold your head in shame and say, well, this is what I asked for and I got it in spades, and I honestly got more than I bargained for. So if you give a damn about free speech, you know what the right position on this is. And if you don't give a damn about the principle of free speech, screw yourself. I'm Grega, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers.